Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to be reviewing the Week 10 key games, starting off with number 1 McNairy Central against number 1 Florida. This game was over basically on the opening kickoff when Lincoln Mitchell returned it 87 yards for the first touchdown, and it was just another dominant performance, especially from Heisman finalist Dylan Miller, who went 28 for 31 for 599 yards, had 183 rushing yards on 7 carries, and 13 total touchdowns. Florida just looked lost on trying to stop the Bobcats, allowing over 30 sacks as mainly their starting quarterback kept getting hit. The Gators also took a devastating blow to their offensive line, losing Tyrone Charles for the rest of the season. And at this point in the season, losing anyone for the year is tough, especially after the rough day they had on the line. Losing a key piece to it is something they didn't need, especially with them going down in the polls, because let's face it, you were the number one team, you lost. Not only did you lose, you lost bad. Not only did you lose bad, you lost bad at home. Not only did you lose bad at home, you lost bad at home at what's supposedly one of the toughest stadiums to play in college football in general. And the only question remains is, will this bump the Bobcats up to number one now, or will they have to wait even more? They do have Tennessee and Notre Dame left on the schedule, and if those two teams can remain ranked, then those matchups will be very, very important coming down the line. I mean, at least they'll probably be number two, which will help their case for the BCS polls. So we'll just have to wait and see on the next week's episode. Meanwhile, we have number 16 Mickey versus Virginia. Scott Stadium was in high anticipation for this amazing matchup, and they've got really hyped with a 6-yard touchdown run by Longshore in the first quarter for Virginia to score first. Now, for reference, Longshore is their quarterback. I didn't realize he was the quarterback until after I simulated this game. I looked through and he was throwing touchdown passes as well. So, follow the script here. But Mickey scores right back with a 42-yard pass from Sanders too wide to tie it up at 7 heading into the end of the first quarter. The Devils score again with a 1-yard run by Morris to take a second quarter lead, 14-7. But Longshore throws a touchdown pass of a yard to Jackson to tie it back up at 14. But Mickey scores again before the half ends with Morris throwing another touchdown, this time to Sam from 16 yards out, and Mickey leading 21-14 at the half. The Cavs fans were getting worried as they were scared Mickey would start to run away with this. I mean, they were like a top 20 offense, and they could just easily go ahead and score well if they could, you know. Then they only scored 30 points last week against North Carolina. Maybe players are just fatigued. I don't know. But to open up the third quarter, Virginia launches a 65-yard bomb from Longshore to Harris to tie it up at, again, this time at 21. Longshore continues his dual threat ability, scoring another touchdown on the ground, this time 19 yards out, to retake the lead 28-21. Fans in Charlottesville were going bananas for their Cavs, and they were believing in the potential upset. But Mickey scores again. A 9-yard pass from Morris to Mackey, and ties it up again at 28 apiece. And that would be the score going to the fourth quarter. And to begin the quarter, the Cavs would have McClellan kick a 40-yard field goal to lead at 31-28, and the defense held on to hold the Devils at bay, and shocking Mickey by winning by that score of 31-28. Hey, the Devils are no longer undefeated, to the shock of many, as some could see the Devils rise up to challenge the Bobcats to the national championship. But this puts a pin on that, and it should be interesting to see how this affects the polls, and with Mickey being in the Coastal Division, I would say, and Virginia in the Atlantic Division, or the opposite way around, one of the two. This could be a rematch in the ACC championship game, so we'll just see how Virginia can handle Virginia Tech, and I think Virginia's already faced Miami. I'm going to have to double check on that, because, that could set up a potential berth for the ACC championship game later on down the line. Meanwhile, the next key game, New Mexico at number 2 TCU. The fans in Amon G. Carter Stadium got a little worried about their Horned Frogs after the Lobos scored a 37-yard field goal from the leg of Smith, but TCU answers back with a 12-yard run by Moses to lead it now 7-3. But New Mexico responds with a touchdown of their own, a 27-yard touchdown pass from their Miller to Newman to lead it 10-7 at the end of the first quarter. But TCU stepped it up in the second quarter and proved why they deserve to be this high up in the rankings by scoring 3 straight touchdowns, 2 runs by Clay, and another touchdown through the air from Keller to White from 65 yards. Their defense stepped up big time, shutting out the Lobos and opened this up to a 28-10 game going to the half. And the fans were going crazy as they could feel that they weren't going to get upset this week. A 22-yard pick six from Joseph increased it to a 35-10 lead in the third quarter. And then a 3-yard run by Wright finally gets New Mexico back on the board, heading in the right direction. And now down only 35-17. But a 3-yard pass from Keller to Mason was the final dagger, as both teams went scoreless in the fourth quarter, and TCU holds on for a 42-17 victory at home. The Horned Frogs probably have a feeling they will be the new number 1 team after Florida being crushed by McNairy Central, but we'll just have to wait and see next week. Meanwhile, the next key game, number 10 Virginia Tech against Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech scores first with a 34-yard pass from Matthews to Brown in the first quarter, and they never looked back, making the Yellow Jackets look ridiculous inside their home turf. Another 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, first a 12-yard run by Lane, then a 6-yard pass from Matthews to Bally, had the Hokies up 21-0 at the half. Now, if you're playing against a normal friend, 21 skunk, just end the game and hand the control off to the next person. You can't do that in real college football, or even in a simulation college football, because Virginia Tech just kept going. But Georgia Tech did show some life with a 3-yard run by Long, but the Hokies score again thanks to Lane running it in from 7 yards out, taking a 28-7 lead into the fourth quarter. There they just put nails in the coffin with 3 touchdowns. First, a 1-yard run by Lane, then an 8-yard run by Brown, and then with 45 seconds left, another touchdown by Brown from 7 yards out, which might inflame Roman Reigns heading into this matchup next year, as he might consider that running up the score because 45 seconds left. Game's already over. There's no way you can score 35 points in 45 seconds. I mean, there's probably a way, but I don't know the way. Okay. And the final score ended up being 49-7. The Hokies continue to look strong on their way to trying to make it to the ACC Championship, as the game with Virginia could be more pivotal each week, as both squads are performing well. And like I said, if Virginia can beat Virginia Tech, at least, I don't know if they face Miami yet or not, but I'm going to check on that. And if Virginia beat Miami, then it's looking like Virginia versus Virginia Tech. Winner gets to be their division spot for the ACC Championship. And it could be a rematch against Mickey, which either Virginia Tech has a chance to get revenge on Mickey if they faced off earlier in the year. I don't think they faced off. I'm going to double check on that too. But if it's Virginia that goes on, it's going to be a good rematch. I can tell you that much. And now, the last key game of the week was Army versus Air Force. And the Falcons did get out to an early lead, with an 8-yard run by Andrews to take an early 7-0 lead in the first quarter. And the score would remain the same until Army scores 10 points in the second. First, a 36-yard field goal by Jackson, then a 5-yard touchdown pass from Shaw to Ward for the Black Knights to lead it 10-7 at the half. Army kicks another field goal, this time 35 yards out for Jackson, to go into the fourth quarter up 13-7. Army scores once more, another touchdown from Shaw, this time to Hallmiller, from 11 yards out, and 1 for 2 and converted, taking a 21-7 lead. When Air Force finally responds with a touchdown, a 14-yard pass from Jones to Logan, and we're down 21-14. They most likely win for the onside kick. Like I said, I simulated the game, so that's why these scores are not like huge. Like if you watch some of the games I've recorded, where they just got blown out big time, And I just stopped recording because, like, why am I going to continue to record a blowout, you know? And Air Force probably went for the onside kick, but Army recovered it, burned out the clock, and held on for the 21-14 win. Army will now basically prepare for Navy at the end of the year to get the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Meanwhile, Air Force will try to bounce back and keep themselves in bowl contention. They just need 2 wins to get themselves into bowl eligibility, because a 6-6 record should be good enough for you to be in a bowl game. I mean, if you watch the 07 series before that just got messed up, some of those teams were 4-8, 5-7, and they weren't doing well the next season. So yeah, I kind of talked bad about them because like you were in a bowl game the previous year. But let's wait until bowl season comes around this year to see who ends up where. And until then, I will see you all next time.